Welcome back, everybody. Today the topic that we're going to be discussing is how to call a Matlab function. So first of all, let's define what a function is. A function is a set of operations that are defined somewhere else in your directory, or in the case of Matlab functions, Matlab has them stored in a certain location where you can call them seamlessly without having to know where that location is. So what I'm trying to say is there's different types of functions. So in this video, we're talking about a Matlab function. So Matlab has a whole, you can call it a database of functions that you can call without having to define them, or you actually don't even have to know how the functions work. But you can call them and use them without having to write up code without having to write up code that processes your information. So if you're interested in knowing what these Matlab functions are, refer to the MathWorks website, but we're just going to briefly show them to you, show you the syntax for these Matlab functions. So Matlab functions typically have an output, a definition, or the name of the function, and then within parentheses you have inputs. Now these inputs can be separated with commas, sorry, and so that you can have multiple inputs, and then your outputs are enclosed in square brackets, and if there's multiple outputs, you can separate them with commas as well. Okay, so and then you have the equal sign so that you assign whatever the output is to a certain location. So since this is the syntax, I'm going to press enter and we're going to get an error because we don't know what inputs is. But if you go in and call a function that's already defined by Matlab, so for example max is something that goes in and finds the maximum value of your input. So if you have an array, so I'm using these square brackets to create an array real quick, don't worry if you don't know what it is, but here we have an array that has these three values, or these three values are being fed into the function, and if we press enter, it goes in and looks at the three values in this array, and it determines which one is the maximum value, and it outputs that it's the 3. Okay, now if you know the name of a Matlab function but you don't necessarily remember how it works, you can always type in max, or not max, you can type in the name of the function and do the first parenthesis, and then it'll give you some information about the Matlab function. So you can click more help if you want to know more about Matlab, or Matlab's max function. And then this references the MathWorks website, and it shows you the different ways that you can use the Matlab function. So in the case we did max of A, and we didn't assign it to anything, but we got the output, and it told us that 3 was the maximum value. Okay, and then there's other options in here which I'm not going to get into detail, but one of the other things I wanted to point out is there's multiple outputs. So when there's multiple outputs, you have to have that square bracket, and in this case it says feed in the maximum values, or feed in the inputs, determine what the maximum is, then output the maximum value, and then output where that maximum value is. So in this case, what I mean by where is we input 1, 2, and 3. So we would get a maximum value of 3 as the M value, and then it's in the third position. So this is the first position, the second position, the third position. So it would output 3 and 3. So let's just confirm that. And I'm going to store these so you guys can see that it works in M and I. Let me close out of this. Oh, sorry, I messed something. Oh, I didn't close the function. Okay, so we get the M value is 3 because it's the highest value that we have, and then the location of it is the third block over. Now, there's other options you can use. For example, min. Let me just go like this and rephrase that to min. Okay, and what do you think is going to happen? Well, this is a predefined MATLAB function, so it's going to go in and find the minimum of your inputs. So 1, 2, or 3, we'd get 1, and then it would tell us the location of the minimum value. So we get 1 and 1. Okay, so that's just a simple example of how MATLAB functions work. Again, these MATLAB functions are predefined by MATLAB. You also can have multiple packages that MATLAB sells, and then these packages essentially sell the functions that make your life a lot easier, and that's why MATLAB can make all that money off of that. But just to give you another example, there's functions like disp, which is short for display. Okay, and then you have your inputs inside of this parenthesis, and this type of MATLAB function takes in a string. So the strings are in these apostrophes, and say hello world. Okay, so what do you think is going to happen? It's going to go in and take the input and then provide the output of whatever this display function is, which in this case is just show the value that is being input. So you get hello world. Okay, and then another function that we use that's part of MATLAB, which isn't really straightforward, is the CLC command, which clears your command window. So the CLC function is a special case, and it does not require any sort of input. Okay, so you could type it in like that, but what's the point of that? You could just type in CLC instead, and it'll close out. But I guess the proper form would be CLC and then in parentheses your non-existent input. But I hope that was helpful. Note that I didn't cover user-defined functions. I'll be doing that in a later video, but the concept is the same. You store what the operations are going to be in a different location, and then you feed it some input. It operates whatever the function whatever you define the function to do, and then it spits out an output that you define as well. So we'll get to that in later videos, but I hope this was helpful. Please let me know if there's anything else I can help you with, and I'll be sure to do so. See you guys next time.